Welcome back to the terrace garden. Today I'm going to be going over my 1 and 2 year old fig trees. My main goal is to walk away with cuttings. At the end of the winter last year, I basically had all of these trees back to the ground, and now they're pretty substantial. I also didn't prune them this past summer, trying to let them get better established. So they're a bit of a mess. My 1 year old trees are basically whips, which means that they're a single leader. The main crop of a fig will also grow on new growth. So today I'm going to take thinning cuts to remove branches, and I'm going to try a couple of heading cuts to try to change the direction that a tree branch is growing. And we'll get rid of all the old growth, and then next year new growth will shoot from it. Cuttings, you want to have them be about the thickness of a pencil. I'm using my Okatsune pruners. I have a review posted of that, which you can check out. I love these pruners. I also have a 30-inch bypass lopper from Tabor Tools. They're made for cutting live wood, so they're not going to crush the growth. I've already made sure all the leaves are removed. There's only, I think, one more fig left that I'm going to take down in a second, but everything else is cleaned up. I'll check for lanternfly eggs. I don't think there are any on these trees. I'll just go through and look just to make sure the cuttings are clean. All right, let's get started. First up is LSU Tiger. So these trees have definitely gone dormant. Rather than use my good pruners anywhere near soil, which can dull the blade, I'm going to use this utility pair that I keep mainly for dead wood. If these get dull, I'm not too worried about it. And I fill these dirt lockers with extra compost and leaves, mulch, just to try to give them some insulation. I'm going to cut this about 1 inch below that first node. There we go. Again, I'm just looking for a node to cut about 1 inch below. It feels really good to get these cleaned up, and I'm only just starting. I'm going to maintain this section, probably remove that. Again, I'm not expecting to necessarily keep this tree totally alive over winter as far as the top growth goes, but this part of the crotch, this is the collar. I don't want to cut into the collar. I want to cut just past it. There's actually a node at that crotch too, so I'm going to just cut that about like that at an angle. It might be too much of a nub, but I don't want to get too far into that crotch. This is sort of intersecting with the other trees, so again, I'm going to come in here just slightly off that crotch and get rid of that. This is a stronger branch. This has been in my way all summer. There we go. This could almost stay here. I might keep that. I'm going to give this a heading cut in that direction. I don't think that branch is going to make it, but yeah, we're going to open that up. This branch is totally vertical, not doing anything for the tree. This I don't want. That's probably not going to survive. It isn't lignified. So let's come up to that node. Take that off. I wouldn't mind it if that came to the right a bit. This is a weak branch. I think I'm going to get rid of that. This whole thing is gotta go. So that's out of the way. I feel like this whole thing's just going to be blocking the rest of this tree. This is just straight up too tall. That's a pretty substantial cut for such a small pair of pruners. No problem. Alright, that tree's clean. I'm pretty happy with that. Give a quick overview here. Might end up getting rid of that lower branch. That gives me a bit of scaffolding. There you can see the damage. Again, last year everything died back to the ground, so I'm not really worried about losing anything. LSU Tiger is done. Next up, Longe. This tree is really tall. Difficult even for me at just shy of 6'3" to try to clean the rest of this off. So here's a water spout growing vertically. Here's a sucker. Come up from the root. They're growing out of the bottom of the ground. Water spouts tend to move up through the tree. They're sort of a way that a tree will propagate. Oftentimes they're a sign of stress. As these trees died back all the way to the ground in the winter, my guess is that's probably why I have one or two. This piece of broken wood is what's left of last year's dieback. So the original trunk, and then this grew off of a node. So this sucker is gone, and the water spout is next. I'm just going to get as low as I can. Alright, new pile, keeping things separate. This large branch off to the side isn't doing me any favors. Try to keep that out of the soil. This next cut's painful. This tree is healthy, but it is really tall, like 10 feet tall. That's not going to work. So I'm just going to top it, pick a height that I kind of want to grow next year. We'll go here. Actually, I probably could have used a smaller pair for this. Yeah, let's clean that up. Man, still have a fig attached. Kind of doubt that's any good anymore. Definitely not ripe. Well, it's almost December and I'm trying fig, so that's kind of cool. Here's the painful one. "10 feet's just too tall." So there we go. We're left with a core of 3. And we'll just clean this up real quick. Alright, Longe is finished. This unruly bugger is unknown dark Sicilian. I carry rubbing alcohol in a little squirt bottle. Just wipe off the blade. Being careful not to cut myself. This is my last second-year tree in ground. These are headed for the soil. New pile. This is a good candidate for cutting. This is the most in the way of the walking path. Do a bit of a heading cut. Here's a note. I mean, I don't think these are going to make it until spring all the way to the top, but the top of this isn't too tall, and I like the scaffolding shape, but I don't think it's going to get through the cold. I could try it. I think I'm going to take it back to here. Done. Decision made. There's unknown dark Sicilian. See how the winter treats it. And take these off. Clean the blade on my cutters again. All right, moving up the hill. This is another LSU Tiger that I propagated. This was a really weak cutting. It was early January, and the top growth had already started to die, kind of like here. You can see this burn. Didn't quite look like that. It was sort of a reddish, harder color, but there was one branch out of 5 where one node held on, and it was kind of like there, that distance. That one node rooted, put out leaves, and it is now this tree. I don't love where it's placed. It'll probably get moved next year. I'm going to take it back pretty far. And then I'll move that next spring. Here you can see what happens to unlignified wood when it gets hit with frost and a deep freeze. Day in and day out, it'll start to dry out. For a cutting, this is more ideal. This lignified wood, this is a pretty thick piece. That's a healthy cutting. Even up here, these pieces are still pretty good. This is going to get composted. It'll join the LSU Tiger pile. There was much more to remove on my second-year trees. My first-year trees here don't have nearly as much. Branches that thin, I don't expect to make it through the winter. And that's not really that lignified. I think I'm gonna take those. That's Sister Madeline's Green Greek. Bring that to there. Okay, so up top here was my second LSU Tiger. There's Sister Madeline's Green Greek. And that's Adriatic GH. Here you can see the cutting as it originally grew. That's pretty much dead. Actually, it's still got some life in it. Dieback, but it's still got life. That's cool. That's not lignified. And let's go there. All right. Teramo over here is a bit of a mess. Actually, I think for now I'm just going to let it go. Maybe I'll take a cutting off of it on another day when I'm not handling everything else. Unknown Dark Sicilian. Longe. And in the back, LSU Tiger. Last year at this time, these were much thinner. The roots were much less developed. All right, let's go prune the potted figs and then get these into a proper size for a cutting. For these last two, the story goes, this is a 2-year-old GFE Black Madeira knot. I refer to it as Adam, and this one is Eve. There was a branch that broke off over the winter while it was in storage, and it ended up turning into this tree for propagation. Adam has not done nearly as well as Eve, so I'm going to give that a pretty hard pruning. Sort of convinced this lower branch isn't helping anything, so that's gone. I'm probably going to top it somewhere in that space. And then I'm going to clean up some of the scaffolding here, because They're really nice angles all the way around. But this tree just did not produce much. These lower branches aren't going to do any good. Guess it doesn't really hurt to leave that. That one might be okay. These are the two big branches. That's a nice height. Alright, that's enough for the moment, I think. I can always take more off in the spring, but that should give me enough cuttings for now. Eve, on the other hand, that's not a terrible angle. This is the same variety, so I'm going to put those together. I'm going to let it go just to see how it does over the winter. Probably end up taking all that off. See which of those develops. That one should almost go. I'll leave that be for now. That's plenty for the moment. Kind of want to see if there's any Breba. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.